Hey, good evening. It's Saturday, March 29th, and welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. Tonight I want to talk about what is worship. And in light of the Lord's Day coming up tomorrow, I thought it'd be a good time. I mention this from time to time, but it's so important for us because we tend to associate worship with corporate worship that happens on Sundays. And that's important. It's vital. It's essential. But that's not the primary platform of our worship. See, our worship is something that we do day to day. Whenever we are in the presence of God, worship is appropriate, even mandatory. As Hebrews says, we boldly approach the throne in our time of need. Worship is where God is, and God is everywhere with us. Because of the work of Jesus Christ, we have been brought into the presence of the King. We don't have to earn our way to do it. We don't have to do anything special. Jesus has opened the door for us to be engaged in everyday worship. Listen to what Paul says at the beginning of Romans chapter 1 or chapter 12. He just talked about in chapter 11 the wonderful mercies of God. And then he says, therefore, in view of these mercies, therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of the mercy of God's mercy, to offer yourselves as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual worship. The word for worship here in the Greek is latreia. It means common work, common service, something we do every single day. Like I said, the corporate worship, can't do without it. But that's not our primary place of worship. Our primary place of worship is the day in and day out stuff, our daily service of worship, this living sacrifice where we give our lives up to God, where we deny ourselves and we take on the honor of bringing honor and glory to God. Remember, we talked about just last night. God gives us our strength. He gives us our next breath. He gives us faith. He gives us illumination through His Word. Not just to be used on Sunday morning, but to be used every single day of life. Your everyday worship. This is what God is calling you and me to be about. This passage is so amazing. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer yourself as living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, which is your spiritual worship. See, when there's a conflict, you have the opportunity to represent God well. That is an act of worship. To be able to be outside and see the wonder of God in creation, that's an opportunity for worship and praise. In many ways, just as significant as anything we do on Sunday morning. Like I said, I am not in any way diminishing the essentialness of corporate worship. We have to have it. But if corporate worship is the only time we understand what worship is, then we have totally misunderstood what Paul is saying here in Romans. Every single thing that we do is to be viewed as an act of worship. You're being angry, you procrastinating and putting things off. Is that something in worship that would be good? No, it's not. Because it doesn't bring honor to God. See, if we can rest in the reality that Jesus has broken down the barriers and given us access to God, As Matthew says, he has given us his yoke and invites us to come to him, where we find rest by doing the things he's called us to do, engaging in day-to-day worship will give you strength in your daily life, and it will enhance and strengthen your times of corporate worship. So we don't have this big disconnect between what we do on Sunday and what we do on Thursday. It's one of the biggest issues of Christianity. We do something different on Thursday than we do on Sunday. But if we viewed our time as Thursday as just as much of an act of worship as our time on Sunday, different but still worship, it could revolutionize the way we do life. What is worship? Worship, Paul says, is to offer yourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing. This is your spiritual worship. When we deny ourselves and give honor to God, follow the teachings of Jesus, follow the leading of the Spirit through his word, that is corporate worship. That is day-to-day worship. Truly, this lets us know life is worship. And that is what worship is about. So great to be with you tonight. And Lord willing, we'll see you on Monday. You have a great Lord's Day tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.